Okay, all four engines are running. APU's online. Thrust management system. N% degrees Celsius window, TREF window in degrees Celsius, 4 engine actuator identifier lights, takeoff go around button, max continuous thrust button, turbine gas temperature button, descent mode, sync mode, power button, and push to test, dimmer knob, and TGT degrees Celsius. Let's push the button in. I'm now controlling my N2 in sync mode. Right now it's master engine 1, or I can select master engine 2. The test function, I'll press and hold the test button. Should see F14 in the window, TMS fault, and the flashing. So basically, if I want to check my N1 rotation, max N1, we'll say it's minus 20 outside. I press the toga button, 87.9. Look down on the chart, minus 20, 0 feet pressure, 7.8, pretty well. I can change the values in this if it's plus 30, 91.4, plus 40, plus 45, 89.9, minus 40, 82.8, but right now it's minus 20 in the computer. It has a static pressure sensor, so it already knows what the pressure altitude is, and it's pretty well fixed at 400 feet due to the fact I cannot change that in Flight Sim, or I cannot interface it with the TMS through Flight Sim. TGT mode, press that. We get TGT, I'll stick 700 degrees in here, or I can stick 800 degrees in there, or 830, 857, which looks pretty good. I can select TGT plus sync, which will sync the number 1 engine in this case to 857 degrees, and whatever N1 that is, will sync the rest of the N1s to that N1 spool. So we'll go through a takeoff mode example. The real TMS has a feature where if you select an inappropriate bleed source prior to takeoff, the N% degrees Celsius window will flash on and off when takeoff mode is selected. I do not have this option. What I have is a bleed config light, which I installed, which will illuminate if you try to take off with an inappropriate bleed source. An inappropriate bleed source would be selected the takeoff button with an engine air selected on with a pack, or airframe systems on with an air conditioning pack. So let's just try to do that. Let's shut off the APU. Shut off a pack. Turn all the engine airs on. I've got takeoff mode selected, and you notice I have a bleed config warning. Once I reconfigure the airs, turn a pack off, 2, 3 engine airs off, we can leave number 4 air on for discharge valve operation. You notice the bleed config caution message extinguishes. So prior to takeoff, we select the takeoff button, make sure that the bleed config light does not illuminate. And with takeoff mode example, calculate the takeoff thrust. It's minus 20, 200 feet, minus 200 feet pressure altitude. We're looking at about 87.9. Come up here to the TMS, select takeoff mode, 87.9. So what I'm going to do now is advance all 4 thrust levers towards the takeoff range. I'll stand them up and allow the engine actuators to go to their fullest extent, which should take a couple of seconds. They don't all go at the same time, so they will be staggered. Once they go to their fullest extent, the blue engine identifier lights will illuminate, and I'll continue to push the thrust levers up until the blue lights go out. That means the actuators have begun to backdrive to maintain the target M1 of 87.9. So here we go. So engine 1, 3, 2, 4. They're all fully extended, and we'll continue to advance the thrust. When the blue lights go out, we'll stop pushing on the thrust levers. Okay. And we got pretty well 88% right across the board, and the thrust is now set.